If I've learned one thing for sure, it's that it's not actually the big grandiose gestures or changes or big things that we do that make a difference in our lives. Truly, it's actually the tiny micro habits that have an outsized impact. It's the little things that build up consistently over time. So let's talk about some tiny little micro habits, some simple things that I have personally changed in my life that have had a big impact. Number one is something I kind of been preaching for a number of years now, and that is when you first rise in the morning, don't pick up your phone, don't open your email, don't scroll social media. Just get out of bed and go directly outside if you can, if the sun is already up, and get some sun in your eyes first thing in the morning. Even if the sun isn't directly up, getting outside, breathing in some fresh air, taking in just some deep breaths and doing something. Now for me, this habit looks like getting up, grabbing my coffee and walking outside, and I just walk around my garden. Usually my husband joins me a lot of mornings and we just putter around like two old people. Just, like, ooh, look at our watermelons, look at how much they've grown, look at the cantaloupe, look at the cucumber, and we have a little bird family that we've befriended. It's really a one-way friendship. They don't like us at all, but we love them. And so we go out and see what they're up to in the morning. We go check on our animals. We just get outside, get some fresh air. Our phones are inside. They're not with us. We're not listening to anything or scrolling anything. We're just getting fresh air, nature, sun. And again, it may seem like such a little thing, but I can promise you that the consistency in doing the little things is what is actually going to have an impact. You have to stick with it. You have to be consistent. For me, this habit started out of wanting to kind of make sure that my sleep cycles were correct. I didn't want to struggle with insomnia, waking up in the middle of the night. I was just kind of worried about how my sleep cycles were going. It wasn't going well. And so that's why I started this habit. But what I didn't know was that this habit was going to contribute not just to a better sleep rhythm for me, but better mental health too. It's had such a big impact on my just overall happiness throughout the day. I would love to know from y'all tiny habits, tiny changes that you've made in your life. Tell me down below in the comments. I love hearing what others are doing. I get so many good ideas from you guys in the comments, so be sure to let me know down below. Number two is to turn off. I love podcasts. I love YouTube videos. You're listening to one right now. Obviously, don't turn this one off. Wait till this one's over. But I kind of can get caught up in listening to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff. I'm very much like a nonfiction kind of person. I like to keep up with various things, topics I'm interested in. But sometimes we need to lean into this kind of other side of our brain. And so listening to music. I love to listen to music, and back before it was such a thing to listen to books and podcasts all the time on our phone, I used to listen to music a lot. And I noticed that, conversation for another day, but during particular times of my cycle, I found myself more inclined to listen to music. There's actually research and studies that back this up, why that is. But I've kind of tried to inject that more in a routine and a rhythm, choosing to swap out things that might feel more, intellectually stimulating for things that stimulate a different part of my brain. And it's something that I have noticed a big difference in my demeanor. Again, my overall happiness. I'm a big believer in just like listening to music, dancing around, being goofy. In fact, the other day I was mowing the lawn and I was singing at the top of my lungs. And if you don't know this about me, consider yourself lucky if you don't have firsthand knowledge that I cannot sing my way out of a paper bag. I'm a terrible singer. You know what? I know I can't sing, but I really enjoy sometimes to just sing and dance. So I was mowing the lawn, singing at the top of my lungs, which is really bad because I already don't have much ability to differentiate tone and stuff, but it's real bad when you're doing it over the lawnmower through headphones. My kids were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm singing." They're like, "Oh, that's what that is." Sometimes you just gotta belt it out, sing it out. You're gonna feel so good, okay? If you're doing a deep cleaning project, decluttering something, go back and watch my decluttering videos from 2020 where I completely decluttered our previous home. You are going to see in there that there are so many singing and dance breaks, because to get me through that massive project, I had to listen to some bangers, some old Celine Dion ballads, okay? Get you some Whitney Houston ballads. You need stuff to really get you going when you've got to keep up with things. And don't think that it has to be reserved for big projects. Sometimes we just need it to get through everyday life, okay? Try making that into a tiny little habit, something that you incorporate into your daily or weekly life, and I bet you're gonna notice a positive change from that. Number three is that after I eat a meal, I try to get up and take a 10-minute walk. just walk around a little bit. I had read this study that said that basically if you can get off your booty and walk for 10 minutes after you eat, this is not meant to be like exercise. We're not like power walking or something, or, prancing or whatever that old aerobics video was. We're just trying to get the digestive system going. And also this really helps with blood sugar, and keeping your glucose levels right. Don't ask me the science behind it. I don't remember. If I can remember, I will link the article down below so that you can go read that if you are interested. It's had a big impact on people's fluctuation of their glucose levels to just move your body for 10 minutes. Again, we're not looking for like something crazy. We're just walking. We're just moving. We're not eating and sitting. I, for one, feel like it's really helped my digestion. I don't monitor my glucose levels, but I'm just trying to be cognizant of it because I have those like pre-genetic markers for type 2 diabetes and stuff like that. It kind of runs in my family. So, and I'm a sugar hound. So I'm trying to be aware of it. The sooner the better, Number 4 is all about self-care. I talk about this a lot because I feel like women in particular are just really bad at remembering to, or making the time to do things for ourselves that are going to actually have an impact. And when we're talking about tiny micro habits, we need things or want things that are going to have, again, an outsized impact for the effort put into them. When it comes to like beauty regimen things, those are the kind of things that I really like to share with you, are things that I feel like take such a tiny time investment from you, but will have an outsized impact, especially for those of you who are just wanting to feel your best, have the outside match how you feel on the inside. You want to age gracefully and you want to do things now to start taking care of your skin and just ensuring that you can feel and look your best as you go through your life. We all know that when we don't feel good about ourselves, it definitely impacts how we go about our day, how we exist in the world at times. So for me, one of the things that I have been incorporating, like I said, that has had a huge impact for such a little time investment, because these are tiny micro habits, right, is the NIRA laser. This is a laser treatment that you can do at home. It's painless. When I say laser, I'm sure you're like, I'm out. No, don't run yet. It's a painless laser that you can use at home. And it helps with all kinds of things, but as I am turning 40 in just another month, basically, wrinkling, aging skin is something that is a concern for me. And that's sort of my primary driver in wanting to use something like the NIRA Pro laser. And I love that it can be used on your full face, neck, chest, back of hands, all the places that for us ladies really start to show the signs of aging the soonest, the quickest. So the NIRA Pro really helps to rebuild collagen and renew your skin. It's large enough to treat your full face by just using it for 3 minutes a day. So it really is the fastest and most powerful and totally painless at-home laser treatment that is FDA cleared, and it's actually clinically proven to reduce your fine lines and wrinkles. You're going to see improvements in skin tone, in skin texture, the sagginess of your skin, as well as, of course, fine lines and wrinkles. Because it only takes 3 minutes to do your entire face, it's very easy to fit into your daily routine. I like to do this at night before I go to bed because it's just where my routine is the most set, I think, because I've got to like brush my teeth and put my overnight retainers in and stuff like that. I'm just very used to sort of ending my night by doing some of those, sort of scheduled maintenance things for myself. And it's so easy to add. It's 3 minutes. You don't have to get a bunch of stuff out. You don't have to put a bunch of creams on or anything. This thing is 200 times more powerful than LED, and it's a third of the price of going into an office and having a treatment done. And when I'm done with the laser, I just put a little bit of the Moisture Lock hyaluronic acid serum on. Stuff is amazing to amplify the moisture retention in your face. It's fragrance-free, cruelty-free, paraben-free, all of the good stuff. It's just going to maximize your results and help you get to that, smoother, tighter, more radiant skin a little bit faster. But I got to be honest with you, my favorite part is to top that off with NIRA's Youth Renewal Peptide Cream. I love a peptide cream, okay? It makes my face feel so good. It has great anti-aging properties. It's going to also help with brightening and evening your skin tone and texture and just giving you a really deep hydration. Just head down below to the description box to get a discount and use my code AngelaB. All the information and links and everything are down below in the description box. I love a company that offers you a money-back guarantee, and that's exactly what NIRA Laser does. You can try this product at home for 90 days, and if you don't see results, then you can get your money back. They know it works. They believe it will work for you. I believe it will work for you because it's amazing. Such a tiny habit that you're going to see results from, and over time with continued use, it's just going to help ensure that you feel your best as you age. That is my only goal. I'm not trying to look 20. I'm just trying to look like the best version of myself and feel like myself as I age, hopefully somewhat gracefully. The next little tiny habit, this is something that I learned about probably a year ago, and I hate to say that this has like changed sort of my environment, but it has. I quit using overhead lighting. I use lamps for basically everything. So for me, this is a tiny habit that I come in, I flick on my little lamps, and then I turn them off. I try to avoid overhead lighting at all costs. You would be shocked how much cozier things feel in your home when you are just using lamps. And I know everybody is like wanting to make things feel really cool and not warm. We all went through a phase where everyone's house was like white and gray and stuff. I'm all for the warmth, the coziness. I love good warm lighting. Give me that. It may not be what's required for good photos or videos or whatever, but in terms of like how you feel in the space, the coziness is unmatched. There's nothing cozy about, a colorless all white space. At least for me, that doesn't feel like inviting and cozy. And that has been my focus, is to make my home feel cozy and inviting for others, but also for myself. And by just the habit of using lamps instead of overhead lighting has made all the difference. Another tiny habit that I have incorporated is to not just drop something, to take it and put it away. It's very difficult for me at times. I don't like to be like, I have ADHD, so that's an excuse. It's just an explanation for kind of why I do things the way that I do, but that doesn't mean that I don't try to overcome that or correct it or work within the bounds of what's going to make that most effective. Because again, if you have ADHD, like our doom piles and stuff, where somebody might come into the room and see a pile in the corner and be like, oh my goodness, like we have to put all that away. And we're like, no, I know exactly what's in that pile. I know exactly like where it is. And if you move it and put it away, sometimes it's like gone forever to my brain. It can be very anxiety inducing, but the piles and the clutter also contribute to anxiety. So it's kind of this like double-edged sword that can be very hard to deal with. And so one of the ways that I do that, and I try to overcome the like innate desire to have these like little random piles everywhere, is to force myself to have better habits of putting things away. Instead of just setting them down somewhere, just take it to where it goes. It's often, especially if you don't live in a mansion of a house, just a matter of a few seconds difference, maybe 10 extra steps or something to actually put the thing away. It is a tiny habit change, but it's going to have huge impacts because now you're not going to have all this stuff everywhere. And again, all of that kind of goes back to like how you organize, where you put things. For me, everything has to be like very logical, but also I have to be able to see everything when I open the cabinet so that I kind of know what's there. I can't hide things from myself. But instead of just setting things down on, top of the fireplace or on top of the kitchen counter, just taking them and putting them away prevents so many unnecessary piles of clutter. The next thing that I have been implementing that I kind of am like, why haven't I been better about doing this sooner? It's these QR code scan labels for boxes. Again, my brain is like, you put it in a box, you put it away, it's dead to me, it's gone. I don't even know it exists anymore very often until like, if we're talking about, seasonal clothing or something, I might see a photo and be like, oh my gosh, that's right, I love that shirt. But before that, I never knew, I forgot it existed completely. And so why I love these scan labels is because it allows me to put things into boxes, organize them where I don't need to see them because it's things I don't need to use or access all the time, mostly seasonal things or project-based things. Paint, I don't need to access the paint all the time, so it doesn't need to be out. But if I put it away in a container, I will forget like, oh boy, where did I put that and what is that? So I love these scanned labels because you literally put everything in the box that you want to put in, you scan it, and you have an app where you can put the type of box that it is, what's inside it, including a photo. That's the key. You can take a picture of everything that's inside the box. You're also welcome to list everything out. And then you put the location, garage shelving, garage attic space, storage unit, wherever it is you are storing these things, under the bed even. That way, when you think of something and you're like, oh, I need this thing. If you're like me, things like swimsuits, those get pulled out like twice a year, okay? And so if I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I did with that, instead of pulling everything out trying to find it, I can just go to the app, open it up and go, where's the bin with the swimsuits, it's this one, here's the number, here's the QR code, and I could just go and get the box from wherever it is, wherever I've put it. It's kind of, I don't know if it's life-changing, but kind of. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of incredibly helpful, at least in my opinion, and makes it helpful, which is my favorite part, for people to help you. As moms, we often have a hard time asking for help from others because it's more work for us to explain to that person what to do and how to help than it is for us to just do it ourselves. So we leave 50 things on our plate that we're trying to do at once because it's like, well, no, if I have to tell you where it is, I have to explain everything to you, then it's not worth me asking for your help. And I think in many cases, our husbands, as an example, would like to help us, but then they're like, but I don't know where that thing is, or they have questions, and then we just get annoyed. So this is great because now we can say, hello, here's the boxes I need you to get. Here's the numbers, here's the QR codes, and they know exactly where they are. They know what the box looks like. They know exactly what's inside it because you took a picture, so they can even double check their work before they ever come to you. They don't have to wait for you to go, that's the wrong one. They can open it and go, oh, if something is messed up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they can sort of be their own auditor, if you will. It's just another way that people can help you, which is always helpful. The next habit is my donation bin. I keep a bin in my closet, in my bedroom area. It changes locations. That Post-it fell again. Where I keep things, or where I put things when I find something that I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I can donate this, I can get rid of this, whatever. If it's like a single item and I'm not decluttering things, then often I'll be like, oh, well, I'll just leave it here because I don't have anywhere to put it. I'll just leave it right here and I'll get it later. And then you never do. You forget about it. Stuff gets piled on top of it. So having a designated bin that says, I'm ready, once I'm full, someone take me to the donation center. Or I like to pass down things a lot to like my sister's kids or friends of ours. So I'll be like, hey, there's a bag in the back of my car. And next time she's over, I'll hand it to her and go, here you go through it, keep what you want, donate what you don't. So it's really nice to have a dedicated space for that stuff because it means that even if you only find one thing, you don't have to go, well, now either my choices are to stop and go through this whole space to find more things, or to just leave it here and hope I remember to come back and get it, which just doesn't happen. If I'm saying to myself, I hope I remember, I'm not going to remember. So having a designated donation bin is handy. Now this next habit is maybe, depending on the size of the thing, the project, maybe not as tiny as I would like, but it's still something that, and if you don't relate to this, if you're someone who does this by nature, you are going to be like, what? Why is that even a thing? It's called cleaning up the projects at the end of the day, even if the project isn't done. Okay, I tend to start projects, I get out all this stuff, I use all the stuff I've made, kind of this big mess, I'm painting something, I'm doing something in the garden, and then I'm exhausted because I've worked my butt off for like 16 hours on something. I've gone hard for like 16 hours, hard in the paint, and then I'm exhausted and I just drop what I'm doing and walk inside. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do another second of this. And I know that I'm going to come back tomorrow, so I think it's going to be okay. But then inevitably what happens is like kids get into stuff, dogs get into stuff, it rains, you've left stuff outside, something gets ruined, the paint gets hard. So forcing myself to stop a project, this is like the tiny habit, okay? We're stopping a project before we reach exhaustion, okay? Because once I hit that wall, I'm done, okay? That's kind of just how I operate. 150 miles an hour, 0. Okay, so before I hit the wall, while I still have energy, I make myself stop. That's hard to do because you're like, but I could just do, no. I make myself stop before the project, before I feel like I'm exhausted, and clean it up, tidy it up, put things away, wash brushes, whatever. I don't allow myself to go sit down and think I'll come back and do it later. I don't sit much at all. Once I do at the end of the day, I'm not getting up again. That's just kind of how it works. just, and I'm fine with that, right? It's how I function, but I need to sort of circumvent the problems that can cause by stopping myself before I've reached exhaustion when I'm working on something, so that I can take the time to do the cleanup. And by the time the cleanup portion is done, now I hit the exhaustion. I'm like, and I'm done. But that's okay, because things are put away, nothing's going to get ruined, etc., etc. So I've tried to be much better about this. You can ask my husband. It's usually could tell where I've been and what I've been doing on the property, because I'll have left the backpack blower out. I'll let the gas can next to where I filled up the mower, and my gloves are here or there. I mean, it's just kind of like, you don't realize that you're doing it. So I need to take time to clean up, but I have to do it before I'm like, batteries powering off, you know? The tiny habit of 10-minute sprints. This is such a game changer, y'all. I've shared videos about this before. I've talked about it a number of times before, but it's so powerful, especially, you know, when we leave things open-ended, our brains can kind of squirrel off into like, well, what if we did this? And maybe I could do this and whatever. Time constraints for things are so beneficial for a lot of people. I think we've always kind of had this notion that like, well, if you wait till the last minute to write your paper, it's going to be a disaster. But a lot of times, for a lot of us, the way our brains work, the paper's not getting done if we try to work on it for 10 minutes here and there. It just, sometimes the cram at the end is what we need to get into the right headspace. So that's kind of how I view my 10-minute sprints, is that like, I know I have this time constraint, and so I'm going to like go again 150% in this 10 minutes and get as much done as I can, cleaning up this area or tidying this thing or doing this thing. Well, how much can I do in 10 minutes? I grew up with a Southern mother, and so maybe you are used to hearing this phrase about stop lollygagging, okay? Lollygagging is, just in case you're like, what is that? It's just where you're like, ho hum, twiddle my thumbs. You're just like, la la la. And listen, I'm all for like a slow-paced life, okay? This is not what we're talking about. But sometimes when we start to like work on something or want to pick something up or clean up something or tidy something, if we're lollygagging, if we're just never gets done, or we end up distracting ourselves in the midst of that with something else. So the power of the 10-minute sprint is really quite amazing, because what it also does is it frees you up from, if you go all day and you're like, oh, I need to clean up this room, I need to clean up this room, I need to clean it, this is bothering me. It's like eating away at you all day. But if you know, and this is like when I had a bunch of little kids and my husband was gone at work all day, and if I sat there and thought, well, I got to make sure that I clean up before he gets home. I don't want him to come home to a wreck. I want him to come home to at least a somewhat tidy house, not perfect, but like tidy. And so I would think about it all day and stress out about it all day until I started implementing that 4 o'clock, 4:30, 10-minute tidy. That was like music goes on, timer goes on, kids get up and help. We all work together and just tidy up in 10 minutes. It means that I don't have to spend the whole day thinking about, when am I going to clean up, or I should clean up, or I'll clean up now and then have to do it again in 10 minutes, right? I just save that 10-minute tidy. It's a pressure washer blaster of cleaning to the house to get things done in a concise time that allows me to not have to think about it all day or let it weigh on me all day. And the last tiny habit that has had a huge impact on my life is to have some practice of gratitude. But for me, gratitude comes with perspective. It's just kind of the way that my brain works, is I need a little perspective on life in order to ensure that I'm living in a place of gratitude. Gratitude is, it can feel like a moving target at times, and something that we forget to be grateful for things because, you know, we've talked about this before, right? But like the hedonic treadmill, and the idea that, you know, as our happiness increases, our threshold, our standard for what makes us happy also increases. So we just don't notice, right? The gain and the gap, all these things that I've talked about ad nauseum to you guys for like 6 months, 7 months now, is that we have to keep perspective. That's really, to me, like at the core of all of those other things, is that we have to keep a perspective. And without going into like great detail, I'll just give you a small example, is that, have you ever been like happy, loving things were great, some area of your life you felt really good about, until you encountered someone else in that same place doing a similar thing, and their results were significantly better than yours. And all of a sudden, you now feel bad about this thing. Whether that's like you felt really good about your house and then you went and visited a friend's new house and now you feel bad about your house. Or you felt really good about your fitness journey and then you met up with a friend you hadn't seen in a while and she was like crazy fit and you're like, oh geez, and now you don't feel good anymore, right? We have to keep perspective, the ability to look back at what we did to get here, the work that we've put in, also the blessings that we have in our life, and constantly like reminding ourselves, at least for me, like this is the thing that I always remind myself is like Angie 5 years ago, Angie 10 years ago, what would she say about this thing now if she knew that you were doing this thing or living this way or living in this place? Again, it's all very personal, but I go back to like Angie from 5 years ago, Angie from 10 years ago. Would she have even believed you if you'd have told her these things that have become in some ways not mundane or anything, but just part of life now, and so you forget to be grateful for them. I hope that I know I'm not always good at explaining exactly what I'm trying to say, but I hope that you kind of can separate the wheat from the chaff there and understand what I'm trying to say about gratitude is it's important. I think if you're struggling to find gratitude or you feel like you have it, but also secretly deep inside, you know, you could be doing better and seeing things more clearly. I think perspective is like, they're the glasses that we need that will bring things into focus for us. So that's a habit that I try to be in, is to constantly keep myself, is to consistently choose to put those glasses on to clarify my vision and perspective for things so that I can show the gratitude that I know I have in my heart, but sometimes doesn't always come out the way that I want it to. So, and don't forget to let me know down below what kind of tiny habits and things that you do. I love hearing from you guys, and I will see you again soon.
She uses the handles to climb up on the countertops. She'll climb the fridge. She'll hold those handles and climb the fridge. And I think every mom can relate to this. This is me singing to Benjamin as loud as I can, trying to distract him because he was starting to get fussy. And I'm like, I just need to finish this. So I was singing.